There we go.
Greetings! You are watching SeptumSin versus the world, and we are here for our live vlogcast. So,
Yay.
so I've got here Kotobuki Jake, and we actually have a guest here, the founder of Inside Movies Galore and Delusions of Grandeur, David Streggy.
Hello.
And we're just here to have a little bit of fun online this time. Talk about stuff we've watched, things in the news. This won't be as organized a vlogcast as usual. Not to say that our vlogcast is organized, so to speak.
It can be.
It can be, yes. But it's just something fun we thought we would try. And and if anybody comes in on the comments, we will, of course, answer any questions that pop up. I don't know if anybody else other than me can see the comments. There's no comments right now, but
and honestly, ladies,
I think so.
And honestly, ladies and gentlemen, when you're sitting at home due to this coronavirus stuff, what better thing to do with your time?
Exactly.
So we've been a long time since we've had a vlogcast.
Oh, yeah.
So how we typically do it here, and we'll just kind of jump into some stuff. We usually just kind of talk about. Well, the original founding of the vlogcast was just to talk about stuff we've seen and what we thought over the past week, month, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, why don't we just do some movie talk this time around?
Okay.
So we usually just take turns talking about one film we've seen and just kind of go around. And I'm not going to organize it into theater or anything. We'll just do one at a time and just go on down the list, just for fun. So I'm going to start us off actually with a film I saw on YouTube. I was surprised that I was getting free films on YouTube, and I was like, oh, this is one I've been interested in. And that was Super Size Me 2. I wasn't a big fan of the original one because there was a lot of fudging of numbers in that one, which was surprising. But then again, sometimes you gotta fake it to make it. And this time, he decides he is going to take advantage of the chicken sandwich craze and open up his own chicken sandwich fast food store. It's actually very fascinating because you get to learn how the chickens go from the egg straight to your plate. And on top of that, at least for a while, he kept his stuff. He kept his stuff together. Oh, we got a comment. So Rebel Gaming Club is asking here, how bad was the I'm guessing Jay and Silent Bob reboot? I actually liked it. I thought it was a pretty cool. What do they call it? A cool tribute to the Askewiverse. It wasn't as good as the original stuff, but I really do think that it did a lot of a tribute there. Did you have anything to say on that? Any of y'all seen Jay and Silent Bob reboot?
I have not seen it yet.
Well, like I said, it definitely, the acting, I think, in each Kevin Smith movie gets broader and broader, honestly, I think. But in terms of the what they did with it, it was fun. It was kind of a heartfelt tribute to what has come before, and it had some good times. They could have polished up some of the acting, but other than that,
and Rebel Gaming Club also liked Super Size Me 2. I agree. I thought it was a fun movie. I actually liked it better than the original.
I haven't seen the second one.
I have not seen either one. So
the first one's scary.
Yes, it is. So, Jacob, how about you? What's one that you've seen? I know you've got the list.
Yeah, and I'm letting my phone charge right now, so I'm not looking at it just yet. But I'm going to go ahead and start off with the movies because believe last time we did this, we covered, I believe, the ones for my birthday weekend. So I believe that leaves 2 additional trips. I haven't been for, obviously, for reasons, for a little while now, but but there were 2 before all this really kind of hit the fan, and I believe you shared one of them, Septum. So if you want to chime in on this afterwards, feel free. But I went to see My Hero Academia, the movie Heroes Rising, and it was a fun movie. And I actually had borrowed from him the Two Heroes movie and watched that a few days earlier, I believe. So I still have not seen episode 1 of the show, although I've read quite a lot of the manga.
That's all you need.
Right. But it's a really, really fun series, a series of world where most people have quirks and those who don't are, well, one of them is a hero worshiper named Izuku Midoriya who gets the power one for all from All Might, who's the big hero everyone loves, and no one knows that he's dying and on the way out because he has an inherited quirk, and he gives it to Izuku. And in Heroes Rising, they basically go to an island where all the world's scientists, like top scientists, live there, and they're making all these great discoveries. And one of them happens to be an old friend and colleague of All Might. And while they're there, terrorists strike, and a whole bunch of the heroes in training have to step up and save the day. And it's a fun movie, and it was great seeing it on the big screen. I enjoyed that.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the first movie. The second movie was where they have the guy who got the gene splice for One for All, which was a character that captures quirks, and that guy is dying from some sort of degradation, and he's trying to get this quirk, steal this quirk, so that he can regenerate and live forever, and then destroy the world or rule it or whatever they like to do. It was pretty epic.
The world's a mess, and I just have to rule it. But yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. I watched them so close together. I got the plots mixed up. The Heroes Rising was the, and yeah, All for One is the counterpart to All Might. Like he is the, he's sort of the Siler of the series, and but a lot meaner.
If you haven't watched My Hero Academia, you should. He's read most of the manga. I've seen most of the anime. So together, with our powers combined, we can say we've done it all. But what about you, Dave? What movie or such have you seen? If you pick one out.
Well, I'll get into a couple more that I watched later on, but there's one that I wanted to mention that I was trying to get Brandon here to watch just yesterday that I ran across after I had, because lately I've been watching a lot of anime series that I've had within my collection so far. So I went and watched the Ghost Stories, finished that up. Watched let's see, I watched the Elven Lied in one afternoon. And I was watching a review on Elfen Lied, or Lead, however you want to call it. And the dude in there mentioned another movie, which was a German animation from 1994. And lo and behold, I found out that it was on YouTube. So I checked it out. Holy crap, was this movie insane. The movie is in fact called Felidae. It's from 1994, and like I said, it was a German animation directed by Michael Schack. And the thing is, the English voices were done by some people that we know. Carrie Elwes, George Hearn, John Hurt, Michael Ironside, Michael Madsen, and Christopher Plummer.
Wow, that's fun.
All voiced some of the English dubbed voices in here. Now, it was an animation that had a cat who moved in with his owner. And what happened was he found a dead cat in his backyard. So him and this other neighborhood cat, which was voiced by Bluebeard, aka Michael Madsen, they went off on a Scotland Yard like noir murder mystery kind of a thing, trying to figure out who the hell killed the cat and other cats. And they found out hundreds of cats. And there was a cat cult and full-on cat sex. It was strange.
So is this going to? Do you think it would scar people more than the recent Cats film? Or
I think it actually did scar some people per se, because there was it's a movie that definitely does not give a fuck about your sensibilities or anything like that. They I mean, right away, when they find the trail of the blood, it leads to another cat, which at the height of its death was sexually excited, and they say that these cats actually say that hey, this cat was sexually excited at this point in time. And I'm like, what the fuck? I mean, this is not your children's animation. It's not exactly Aristocrats, is it?
So is this like Bunny the Killer thing?
Actually, this sounds a lot like Aristocrats, not Aristocrats, though.
No. But then it kind of sort of went into an area explanation that apparently there was this cat that was like super experimented on, and it turned out that one of the cats that was helping them ended up being the same cat that was in the video of this scientific experiment, and it was just weird all the way through. I mean, it was.
Yeah, we should do an experimental animation month on Inside Movies Galore. That would be interesting.
It was definitely different.
I tell you what, though, now that since you used Elfin Lied as the lead-in for that, now I want to watch the German dub of that show. I don't know why. It just seems like it would be fun to watch in German.
There's a German dub of Elfin Lied?
I'm sure there is, as popular as it is.
I mean, shoot, one of my favorite themes is the German theme for Sailor Moon.
I wonder if it would be anywhere close to Ghost Stories.
The Ghost Stories took a lot of liberties with the original.
We'll have to come back to that one when we get back to you, because I want to hear your on that. But back to me on this. I actually have a game I beat. I beat a video game, not just any video game, a long video game. Because I work a job that is an on-call type position, and during the initial couple of days before they said, you know what, we need to make sure that there is busy work in between each call.
Yeah.
They did allow us to just do our typical job, which was to wait for people to come in. So I was able to sit at home because we were not allowed to come in. And I played on Death Stranding, and I finally beat the darn thing. That is a hard one to beat.
Did you do it without cheating and looking at cheat sheets?
I did.
Awesome.
It was an interesting Death Stranding wasn't necessarily hard per se, and I did a review of it. I put that up on, well, actually today I put that up. It was, Death Stranding was a Kojima game. Kojima is known chiefly for the Metal Gear series, so if you're familiar with that series at all, you would understand it's convoluted, a lot of heavy story. Some of the story kind of goes off the rails. Also involved in the writing was Guillermo del Toro, who makes an appearance, by the way, in it, and so does Conan O'Brien. And your main character is played by Norman Reedus, a.k.a. Walking Dead fame. So that would be really cool it's just really cool to check out as far as games go. Graphically, it is beautiful. You're going around delivering packages, which is mundane. And during many Inside Movies Galore discussions, I would go back and forth delivering packages because it would be that kind of mindless. But it is very beautiful. The music is amazing. The phantoms they call BTs, they are creepy as all get out and annoying later on. So at the end of it, it's a fun game. Well, maybe not fun. I understand what people say. It's not a fun game, but it is a good game. Much like one might say, the movie's not an entertaining movie, but it's a good movie. Do you understand what I'm saying when I say that?
Mm-hmm.
But that's my take on Death Stranding. I don't know if any of y'all have heard of that one, other than when I've mentioned it, because neither one of y'all are like avid gamers.
I will say something about a game that I beat later on, if I can. But it took me. I actually had to cheat on that one. So a game that well. I suppose I can get into it now that I've spoken about it. When I used to play Nintendo at one point in a time, and there was this game called Deja Vu that came out on Nintendo, and you started out with a trench coat and a 38 and with stuff in your pockets, and you had to figure out who the fuck you were. And for the life of me, I could only get so far in the game. And I could never figure out the next part. Well, it wasn't until years later that I found a walkthrough that I actually had to get it, actually play it word for word, because it was so intricate for a game for Nintendo. It was.
What was it again? What was the game again?
Called Deja Vu.
Oh yes, the one you use the theme for in your opening.
Mm-hmm. And for some reason, I just liked the noir private detective kind of feel to it, and it became my favorite game because it was so intricate. Even the walkthrough made it kind of cool because you had to do certain things a certain way, and if you didn't do it that way, you didn't beat the game. So, but you would have never figured it out to begin with unless somebody actually figured it out for you.
Those old games could be pretty rough. And that series, The Uninvited, a lot of those games in that vein are very much in that way. What about you, Jake? We kind of skipped over you. What was your... No. I mean, sometimes you got to strike while the iron's hot. So
right.
What do you got next on your list, Jake?
Well, my other at the movies thing was very interesting because it was a very unusual thing. I've started becoming quite fond of doing the Fathom events, going to the Fathom screenings. That's, I believe, strangely enough, My Hero Academia had a regular release, which is rare for an anime. But there's a lot of ones that I've had to go for the Fathom. Oh wait, no, that's right. That's 3. I forgot about another one because I haven't talked about the Masaki Yuasa one yet, have I? Okay, so I'll go ahead and I'll do one at a time. But one thing that I have never done before that they offer frequently as the events is telecast, if you will, satellite cast, review, whatever you want to call it, of live action events. They'll do like when you go watch the events, they always do advertisements for like opera and for ballet. And I think the week I went, like they did a performance by the Russian ballet like 2 days before. But what I went to see was something on the very different end of the culture spectrum. I went to see a performance of the Love Live series 9th anniversary Love Live Fest, which is a big concert they held in Japan in January 18th. They reviewed it a little bit over a month later here in the States. And it features the various acts from the different shows and the game. You've got Muse, the original 9-member group from Love Live School Idol Project, Aqua from the Over the Rainbow or the Sunshine spinoff series, Aqua's rival group, a duo called Saint Snow. Also, there are 3 subgroups of Aqua that were performing that go by the name of Sia Wrong, Azalea, and Guilty Kiss. And there's the Nijisaki High School Idol Club, which is featured in the video game, and there's a new anime in the works based on that. And I know, Brandon, you know this one a lot better than Dave does, but basically the gist of the first 2 shows is you have people who decide to save their failing schools by starting idol groups. And basically Japanese pop idols are a big thing that have not really translated over here. But I thought it was an event I needed to check out. It was not subtitled, and I did not know half of the songs in the first place. So that was some interesting experience there. But spending more than 2.5 hours watching really cute Japanese girls strut and sing, one could do worse. And particularly Guilty Kiss and Saint Snow. Those 2 groups were pretty awesome. And it was awesome seeing Muse because it was their first performance in 3 years. And so it was kind of like an historical thing for people who've been following it all along. For me, I was just coming in as some random American watching it, but I can imagine the people who were there in the arena were probably stoked for that. So and it was an arena. It was an arena concert, like huge crowd. And it was like, but it was really interesting. I might have to check out some more of those shows because that was a neat way to do it.
Yeah, Sunshine was an interesting series, and it kind of it had a different twist as for the original.
Right.
Not just was it a twist on the story itself, but just in the environment.
Well, also the fact, like I said, they had the subgroups. Like the Muse has 3 unofficial subgroups because you got 3 freshmen, 3 sophomores, and 3 seniors.
Yeah.
And they and in the movie, they each get a song as a subgroup, but they're not really subgroups. But Aqua actually does have official subgroups, and they performed as a full group and as those groups. And at the end of the show, there were a couple songs where everyone came out and did the whole thing together, and that was kind of fun. Yeah.
So I had a list of 1 million things on mine originally, but was saved on my phone. But then my phone got hacked, and I had to erase everything, and ended up losing my entire list. So I have a fairly decent sized list that would last for this vlogcast. So I saw one last night, which is one. It's been a long time coming because I grew up with a lot of Jim Varney films. Especially the Ernest films, and the one that started it all was a film called Dr. Otto and the Mystery of the Gloom Beam. And I've had this for a while. It's been long out of print.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to check it out because it's like, oh, this just defines a lot of the characters. And it does. Ernest isn't even in the movie until the very end.
Mm.
And it's about this dude, Dr. Otto, which is one of Ernest's many characters. If you're familiar with the old TV show that he did, you got to see a lot of these characters, which he experimented with here. And that's the one. I don't know if you're familiar with Ernest stuff. I know you are, Jake, but
Yeah.
But on the show, he had like this mad scientist that had like the hand on top of his head and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that character and the robot that had the bucket on his head with the little smiley face to show his moods, that was the doctor's like sidekick. And it was about two people. It was about him and then this other one who was... so Dr. Otto was born into this family, couldn't care less, hated him and all of that. Whereas this other guy, who is the hero, he was born into everything and lucked out on everything. And he's kind of this incompetent guy. Whereas his sidekick, she's the one who pretty much gets him navigated through all of these terrible things because he's created this gloom beam that will destroy all of society by shutting down all the computers and destroying all of the ATMs and fax machines and stuff like that. And how he goes to, and he does this riddle saying, this is how you can find me. And he does this lengthy riddle. And so the hero kind of by dumb luck stumbles onto every location. And he does this DNA sequencer thing to where he transforms into different characters that you see Jim Varney play throughout the Ernest series as they go, including, the old woman that's there. He had a pirate character.
Yeah.
And their end scene is where they showed Ernest, where he kind of transforms into Ernest at the gas station where the hero is filling up after the hero saved the day. Mm-hmm. So you get to see one cut of Ernest at the very, very end. But it was a fun movie. It was very enjoyable. Jim Varney was a very talented character actor. He could play various roles.
Yeah. Unfortunately, never quite got the credit he was due. That's very disappointing. But yeah.
Now, Dave, you said you didn't care as much for Ernest, I think, when we talked about it.
When I was growing up, I found him to be a bit crass, and I don't know. I just couldn't get into him while I was growing up. I just couldn't understand. His voice was annoying to me.
Know what I mean?
Know what I mean?
Yeah. And I know that he had a cult fan base, and I know sometimes his Christmas movie is thought of just as much as what is it?
Classic.
As Christmas Vacation, but I just couldn't get into him for the likes of me. Maybe as a grown up now, I may not mind his humor because I don't know. I like a lot of humor, but his humor I just couldn't get into at the time. I hadn't watched his films in quite some time, so. I may just pick up his films just for the fuck of it, just to
you never know.
Just don't start with Slam Dunk Ernest.
Oh God! Well, they sell the top. They sell the three that are worth it, usually in triple packs.
Mm-hmm.
Ernest Save Christmas is the one that they always sell separately. I rarely see that on a movie pack. But the others, the one to me, the Ernest movies, they're all okay, and some of them are really cringy and bad. But there are four that to me are like the top. I mean, you've got Ernest Goes to Camp, which is a classic. Mm-hmm. You've got Ernest Saves Christmas, which is also a classic. To me, those are the two best. Mm-hmm. And then Ernest Goes to Jail and Ernest Scares Stupid are also really fun films. Mm-hmm. you get those. You really don't have to see the rest, as far as I'm concerned. But they are fun to watch if you're into sort of like that. You just want to watch something kind of mindless and fun. Usually, it's fun that you can watch over and over again. So,
you mentioned Christmas Vacation. I always think of Jim Varney as so much more likable than Chevy Chase in most cases.
Well, from what I've heard in real life, he was much more likable.
Yes.
I do like Chevy Chase and his chainsaw moments. So.
Yes. Chainsaw moments, indeed.
But in any case, I don't know. I got into the Lampoon family. Okay,
Right.
I mean some of the National Lampoon movies after the original 4, like the Beta House and all that jazz. Those were kind of corny, but I got into them, and that was stupid. To me, I don't know. I guess I was when I was thinking of Ernest, I wasn't exactly thinking about him when I was watching him. I guess I was watching the other performances over. I mean, I've seen bits and pieces of each one. It's just I've never seen them entirely. So maybe if given the chance, I saw each one entirely, maybe I might actually enjoy them. And
they will be put forward as choices in the future.
Especially next Christmas season.
Yes.
I'm open to them. So it's not that I'm against them or anything like that.
I'm actually thinking about when summer comes around, I'm thinking about a summer camp option potentially.
That's what I was thinking. That would be kind of cool. Yeah. We could do that. You could put up Camp Blood, Friday the 13th, all these fun things.
Well, I was probably thinking Ernest Goes to Camp and Wet Hot American Summer, but
I mean, there's so many possibilities.
I have Wet Hot American Summer. That one was pretty good.
Okay, so you kind of set me up for. I was not going to jump into my recent viewing because there's been a lot, like you said, on the old list. But speaking of Chevy Chase and the Lampoon movies, I finally saw a movie that amazingly I never saw growing up, or at least I don't think I did. That was directed by the director of Animal House and co-starred Chevy Chase. And that was the film Three Amigos, which actually, interestingly enough, a Steve Martin film that came out the same year as Little Shop, which is one of the reasons I pulled the trigger and finally watched it. And, of course, also co-stars Martin Short, who was a favorite of mine growing up. I used to love Pure Luck. That was a fun movie. And
Three Amigos is actually one of the only Steve Martin films that I can actually stand him in.
Well, he's not even like he's very Steve Martin in that film, but like kind of the goofier, lighter-hearted version, if you will. Definitely a world away from the Little Shop character in that case. But in that one, definitely Martin Short is definitely the most likable of the bunch by far. I like the part where they're talking about their reward money, and Steve Martin's like, "I'm going to get a shiny new car," and then Chevy Chase said something about going on a trip, I believe, and then Martin Short's like, "I'm going to start a what did he say? I'm going to start a charity for kids or something like that." But my favorite line in the movie is a couple of the Mexican women are talking about that, and she's like, "Is something like, which one of them do you like?" "Oh, I like the one who's not so smart." "Which one's that?" But that was a fun movie. I'm glad I finally saw it.
It's a classic, definitely. Well, How about actually, Dave? This would be your turn. I really want to hear your thoughts on Ghost Stories since you watched it,
Right.
and I don't know how many turns we'll have left in us. So it'd be good to make sure we have a. I want to know your thoughts on that series.
I really enjoyed it. It was, yeah, it was somewhat crass in some respects.
Well, yeah.
I mean, dude could not stop looking at her underwear. But anyways, I love how it fucking began. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know anything about this series, it was filmed in 2000, I believe, and from what I gather, the original language to the film didn't hit well over there. So when they brought it over here, they pretty much just told the people dubbing the film, do whatever the fuck you want with it. Right?
Pretty much.
So they pretty much ad-libbed almost the entire thing. Okay. Right. So the story is kind of interesting, where this young girl and her annoying little brother are either move into a new place, or it just seems like they're moving into a new place, new school, and right next to the school, it's haunted, and somehow or other, the chick finds a journal that was left behind by her mother, which we later find out was like this ghost hunter slash a person who started writing spells how to put these fuckers to sleep.
Yeah.
So the first episode, they meet a demon that ends up going. They end up accidentally putting it into the family cat. And the cat kind of becomes their companion and helper, unwitted helper along the way. And of course, there's the spiritualist ex sleep around chick, and who just so happened to meet their lesbian mother, or if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
That freaking episode where that spirit was not the calling of death, but the messenger.
Right.
And the way that she spoke to the little kid instead of the father, even though they gave the letter to the father, it read to him like it was talking to him, and the way his mother talked about how good he was in the sheets.
It was
just goofy all around.
And Dave, I've got to ask you about this. What did you think about the gloriously inappropriate end theme?
Oh, the gloriously inappropriate end theme. That was something else entirely. And then you know what? I love how they talked in the third person from time to time.
Right.
Where they talked about, well, this is what we did in the last episode. You know, like they knew that they were part of a show.
Oh, they broke the fourth wall a lot. It was now one thing that you can do to really give yourself a contrast is look at the dub. I know Jake usually looks at it and says, well, the dub is superior to the sub in like 99% of the cases.
The sub is superior, but
I'm sorry, yeah, the sub, yes. In this case, it's just the original series is kind of it's okay.
Bland. It's okay, but it's kind of bland, yeah.
I mean, there is no lesbian mother, or
And no Jesus freak.
No, she's just like
girl.
a psychic. She's just a psychic.
Yes.
And
Well, there's even
it's
a
not
moment
as
where he
fun.
looked. There's even a moment where he not just looks at what's her name's ass as she's falls down, or he actually, it doesn't matter which female it is, just so long as the underwear is showing.
They did that with at least one more that I know of, where they let the voice actors go wild, and there was a really brief series called The Shinesman, which was a Sentai series they did that with, and that was also very fun. And that series was kind of a parody series anyway, so they didn't take it that far off script.
All I'm saying is, I hope that there's more of those out there, or that become.
There are some more. Funimation has given their cast the ability to have a good time with several series.
Yeah,
They're usually a little more tightly scripted. But for example, if you watch the English dubs of Hitalia or Panty and Stocking or
Crown Shen-chan.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is, however they did this series, I want them to do it with every single series from this day forward. You know?
It would be more appropriate with some shows than others, but yes.
Yeah, that's a way to refresh a series. That is for sure. Got a cult following because of that.
Yeah. So maybe that's how we'll finally get an American release of Tante Gakuen-ku.
That would be awesome.
Academy. I love that show, but no one wants to. But I could see if they did a crazy dub that constantly references things like Columbo and all that kind of stuff, that'd be kind of fun. Yeah, that'd be good. Maybe that's what we need for Cheeky Angel, but I just want that one properly.
Oh, that was just fun, yeah.
Yeah, but that one,
they could run wild with Zetsubo Sensei.
They could,
because you could take that and apply a lot of those subtle references to today, to American references pretty easily sometimes. Right. So to me, going back to Little Shop of Horrors, because I also had a sideways viewing, sort of like a sidestep. Yeah. With Steve Martin and Rick Moranis. I just got the urge to watch this film called My Blue Heaven. I talked about it a little bit when we were talking about it last week, and it was just fun to rewatch it again because I loved it when I was younger. And Steve Martin, I didn't know it was Steve Martin for a while until I looked back. I was like, that is Steve Martin. Because one, they put color in his hair, so you didn't see that, and he played this over-the-top gangster character, who is just this basic criminal and screw up in a lot of cases, who's gone into witness protection, and Rick Moranis is an FBI agent assigned to protect him. And he's kind of this no-nonsense, by-the-book FBI agent, and they both kind of learn a little bit from each other through their crazy antics throughout. It is just a delightful, fun comedy. It's not one that I would look at and just dislike on the surface. It's just, but it's not one I would also say is like one of the best films out there. It's just, you know how it is with these types of comedies where you just sit back and you just enjoy them. Mm-hmm. They're like, things like Celtic Pride or Couch Trip, ones that were not huge, but ones that are just kind of fun. I mean, I don't know. Does anybody else here seen My Blue Heaven?
I have not.
I have not myself.
Oh, that's just fun. Yeah. It's like old school 80s, early 90s comedies. I mean, that's just
good times.
So, Jake?
Well, I guess I'll go ahead and do this one, another rather recent one. partly because you're talking about like old school comedies that a lot of people have kind of left by the wayside, and partly because one of the main co-stars, he kind of reminded me of Rick Moranis, and I kind of thought like if they had done it in the 80s, if they had redone it, he probably would have had the role. They almost certainly would have. And this is an old movie from back in '58 called No Time for Sergeants, which is Andy Griffith plays a good old boy from up in the hills who's none too smart, but gets accused of being a draft dodger, and really just he never got the letters, and he happily joins the army. And you got Nick Adams, this was the one that reminded me of Rick Moranis. Nick Adams plays Ben Whitledge, who is he wants nothing more than to be in the infantry. And they're going through their base camp and whatever. And Myron McCormick plays the Sergeant King, who's their barracks officer. You got a supporting role for Murray Hamilton as this really full of himself dude, and in a tiny role from Don Knotts that was very Don Knotts-ish. It felt like he was trying to shatter glass with his voice in that particular role. Basically, it's an old, dumb war comedy. I mean, that's really all there is to it. It's not high art. Andy Griffith did do some very over-the-top stuff back in the days, and this is way over the top. Like, he's likable enough, but he's also just it's a very old-fashioned movie in a lot of ways. Probably could have aged better, but it was still fun, and I was kind of enjoyed giving it a look.
And my parents hated that film.
Right. Did you ever see it?
I have never seen it.
Wow. Okay.
My parents didn't like it.
Your dad's barometer for what's a quality film to show kids is kind of unusual.
What, like The Shining, Libertine, Quills, Prom. These are kids' films, right? Oh, what was the one with? Actually, most of Kubrick's catalog, he loved showing those off.
Well, I can imagine,
genius that he was.
To someone who would consider Kubrick to be a wonderful, wonderful director. This is definitely not a Kubrick film. Actually,
it sounded so much like one.
I think it came out the year after Paths of Glory, actually, and the two films are very different. But yeah.
So Dave, you got one more for us?
I do. I recently, not too long ago, watched Color Out of Space.
Oh, wow.
By Richard Stanley, and Nicolas Cage somewhat starred in this film.
Somewhat?
Well, yeah, he kind of almost starred the whole thing. But he has a family in here. He plays Nathan Gardner, and he has a daughter, a wife, and I think 3 kids. So it starts out, the daughter, she's a Wiccan. I'm not sure what kind of Wiccan, but she's saying some prayer for evidently her dead mother in the very beginning. And she's got some wild, crazy hair. And I almost would call this a neon exploitation film, because there were a lot of colors of pink, of neon pink in here, and that's what you call a neon exploitation film, a film that uses one specific neon color, and that apparently what happens is a meteorite strikes nearby, and then the family starts acting weird around each other, like totally weird. The father starts getting angry at them. The mother, she inadvertently cuts her own finger off, and the dog goes crazy. The animals turn into some kind of a thing looking like thing. There's some man supposedly in the well that kind of swallows up one of the kids, and mother and the younger son somewhat get like meshed together as like one creepy ass monster. It's like, I don't know. It's like a meteorite that turned it like thing, and it was creepy. It was definitely creepy.
It sounds like
it. So,
it sounds fun.
it was kind of fun, but it's definitely worth seeing at least a one time.
Almost Lynchian in that the sounds.
I would almost say it's almost Kubrick, esque.
Hard to think of Nicolas Cage and Kubrick in the same sentence.
I know.
Well, of course, it's kind of weird to think of him and the Wicker Man in one sentence. So
it's hard to think of the Wicker Man that he starred in either, except for the bees. The bees.
That's why I was thinking of Why I'm Afraid of Bees from Goosebumps. But in any case, go ahead.
See, after you mentioned that, it brought me back to thinking. It's like I have seen a 2020 film through some entertaining circumstances. So this person ended up dumping a whole bunch of 2020 releases, pretty high quality streaming releases, because many of them had to get ready for streaming because of the plague. And they decided, we're going to put them where no one's going to find them. A porn site. And just because it was amusing, me and my wife decided, you know what, let's see if we can find one. And we found The Hunt on that. Which, The Hunt is a very intriguing movie that is very different than the way it looks in the previews. Have either of y'all seen The Hunt yet?
No.
Well, I'm not going to try and ruin it too badly, but essentially it's the greatest game. I'm sure everybody knows that one. I think is that right? The Greatest Game, is that the name of the movie?
I'm not sure.
Or Deadliest Game, or something like that.
I think that's what you're talking
the Deadliest Game, yeah.
Isn't that like Jackson or something?
Yeah, that's an old one, but it's a more of a, like, because the guy these rich people, they end up hunting people. And by the way, potential spoilers when you haven't seen it. But essentially, this one is a slight twist on it, where instead of these wealthy, out of touch, like, I guess, conservative hunters, which is the usual theme, hunting these like just downtrodden people, it's a bunch of liberal elites hunting hunting like lower class conservative YouTubers and Facebook posters.
Kind of sounds like The Purge.
It's actually not bad. When I'm looking at it, I can see the tongue-in-cheek humor because it makes fun of several types. It makes fun of the type of conservative that's, the conspiracy nut thing, that they write about, Pizzagate or things like that. It's but it also makes fun of the kind of out of touch liberal elitists who are constantly berating people for saying the wrong thing the wrong way, but they are elitists themselves because of their wealth and money doing things like that. It's just like I say, to me it was a much more fun film than I thought it would be. It's fairly bloody, but the tongue-in-cheek humor, it's just well worth watching. If you get a chance to check it out, I wouldn't say pay the entire $20 to see it like you would have to now. But if you can rent it for like, $10 or something like that, I would go for it. It's well worth the rental. Or if you see it free on a porn site, you go for it.
I'll keep a look next time.
Okay.
Amongst the normal travels, I think we got room for one more if you want to throw one out, Jake, for discussion.
Okay, well, I guess then that is a pretty good lead-in for one of the other ones I saw in this past week, which I did revisit after some time. I finally revisited David Fincher's Gone Girl, which, of course, is the adaptation of the book by Gillian Flynn, which the adaptation was by Gillian Flynn. And it's an interesting movie, very creepy and weird, and I really want to read the book and just haven't gotten around to it. But have you seen that one yet? I forget.
What, Gone Girl?
Yeah.
Oh, I've seen it many times.
Okay, I figured as much. I just wasn't sure. You seen that one, Dave?
I have seen Gone Girl.
Okay.
It's been some time, but yeah.
Yeah, so you basically, for those of you who are not familiar, of course, you get this basic idea of this seemingly good couple living the life, and she is the basis of a very popular children's book series from her parents, who really should have known better. And she is played by Rosamund Pike, and the husband is played by Ben Affleck. And she goes missing on their anniversary and sets it up, you can't really talk about it too much without giving away lots of twists.
There's a lot of twists, yeah.
So I'm not going to leave it at that, except to say there's a very intriguing supporting turn by Neil Patrick Harris, and there's a couple other interesting people that show up. Carrie Coon should have gotten a lot more praise than she got as Ben Affleck's twin sister in the film. She did a great job there. Sorry. In typical David Fincher fashion, it's a very stylish movie. He makes very, very stylish movies. And it was cool to revisit. I think the first time I saw it, I watched a rip of it online to prepare for Oscars. So this is my first time watching a proper Blu-ray copy. So that was probably a visual upgrade. But it's good times. But not something to end the night on, though, because it's kind of dark.
Yeah, that one is a very dark one, a dark film, but it is a very well acted film. It deserved all of the recognition it got.
It ended up getting one Oscar nod. This is one of the weird things. Most of David Fincher's films have gotten one Oscar nod. Like Rosamund Pike was up for supporting actress. I think Fight Club got something like editing or something like that. I think I want to say Seven got editing. Fight Club and Seven are two of the best films of the 90s, and they had like one nod each. I don't know what it is with his films. It's like they're like, okay, we'll give you one token nod.
Yeah, it was cool. So with that being said, it's 9:00, so this is where we all turn into pumpkins, I guess, and have to go. I really do thank Dave for joining us tonight, and of course, you should check out Inside Movies Galore if you want to see more. Matter of fact, tomorrow night, we're going to be covering Rock and Roll High School and Rock and Roll High School Forever.
Oh, dear God, help us.
So that's going to be a lot of fun. I always look forward to our chats, and I thought this, we've been through all of this social isolation. Mayhap this is something that can be done on occasion while we're kind of separated, and just have some fun movie chats. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I had fun with this one.
Yep.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's lots more I could have said something about, but we only have so much time for so much chatter.
I've still got a dozen Christmas movies I haven't brought up.
Hey, well, actually, somebody coming in towards the. Yeah.
Hey, Mo.
Hey, great to have you,
Mo?
We thought we did.
Well, at least in spirit.
Mo, are you there?
Did you hear me now?
That's the thing where they in Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, they take the record and they're like, Delta Fox X-Ray. Do you see it? Do you hear us?
Captain Walker, come in.
Hey, it wouldn't be a show if I didn't just disconnect immediately.
Ground Patrol, the
Hey.
Major Tom.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're
So
into
you guys got
overtime.
You got me now?
Yep. I was gonna say we're into overtime, but you know what? I can't resist just throwing out just a little. Y'all have a little bit more time. We can just extend one more throw out, because I love what he does on his channel. I'm talking to you and like you're not here. What Mo does on his channel, he sees some really cool stuff, and you've been watching some really awesome things over this time period, like the Lone Wolf and Cub stuff. Do you have anything that you want to share with us as sort of like sort of an ender for our conversation?
Oh, as far as like stuff to check out?
Yeah, is anything that what we've been doing is just been talking about stuff we've watched lately, and just stuff that we've been enjoying, and just having a basic chat about it.
Oh yeah, I mean, to that end with the Lone Wolf and Cub stuff, I think a lot of people need to see Lady Snowblood. Just watched that with a buddy last night, and it holds up. I hadn't seen that since probably tail end of high school. And I think in terms of being like, a tight little two-parter, you can't really do too bad with that. Maybe Sanjuro and Yojimbo might be the other best like sort of Chambara double feature I can think of that just naturally works really well like that. And if you're a fan of Kill Bill and that kind of stuff, you're gonna dig Lady Snowblood for sure.
Sounds
I need to see it. I really do. Is the Criterion? I guess is the Criterion one? I guess it's out of print now for Lone Wolf and Cub, isn't it?
I don't think so, because they told me that they could replace my slipcover for it when I contacted them. So that one might still be in print. I think it's still available to just purchase straight from Criterion. So I don't know if that means what that means, but yeah.
All right, cool.
Then again, I don't know if $62 is a good price for something like that. I'm looking at it on Amazon, but is it like you see? I really need to. I've read the manga and I need to see the film. It's and I have Lady Snowblood and I still haven't watched my copy yet. So much I gotta watch.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great, man. And I would say, for my money, I was happy spending what I spent on the Lone Wolf and Cub set. The presentation that you get with it is nice. It's got a nice thick little booklet with like notes on each movie and an essay from some film critic. There's like a hidden diagram of the baby cart and the spine of it that I didn't even know about when I first got it. And the movies themselves are super clean. Plus, there's a fair amount of special features on it. I think the Lady Snowblood set being only 2 movies, somehow they packed in more special features than the Lone Wolf and Cub set. So I would definitely give that one the upper hand when it comes to the special features on the discs. But yeah, presentation wise, that Lone Wolf and Cub one kills.
Oh, so many cool things that Criterion does. Though, yeah, they're special features. Some of them they have like a ton on, and others they have next to none. Which
it's strange. You would think that'd be the thing they're shooting for right out of the gate, would be like a ton of special features on there, but I don't know. I get that it's not always feasible to get people together to like shoot those documentaries and stuff, but it's nice when they do it.
Well, yeah. Every so often, I'll find a Criterion thing at the right price. Like my last Criterion that I picked up was Jabberwocky, and I picked it up for like $10.
Oh yeah, most of those Akira Kurosawa like single edition ones are only like $15.
Oh yeah, I think I've got most of Kurosawa on Criterion because I've got all of the Kurosawa films they released on Criterion.
Well, I've got
Very
all
nice.
the Kurosawa that was put out on Criterion in a Japanese set. Does that count?
Well, it's not Criterion. You don't get all the goodies, but yeah.
It is Criterion though. It's got the Criterion. See what they did, I think, was transfer all the Criterion shit into this set, and it's a Masterworks set.
Okay.
Oh,
So-
I've seen the one that you're talking about. Yeah,
Yeah.
the Kurosawa Masterworks thing.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I mean, it has the vibe of a sweatshop special. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean,
like-
I was down for the value, but I don't know. I think I'm just gonna go with those Criterions.
Right.
I like it.
Yeah, you can't go.
Yeah.
I mean, just being able to see them is a treat, man. All those movies should be watched. And I guess I would just encourage people to just explore more Japanese cinema like that. I'm going hard with the Yakuza films on the side of getting the samurai stuff. So like, I just ordered all the Yakuza paper movies. Well, the first series.
I still got to say, out of Akira Kurosawa, I enjoyed Kagemusha when I saw it. I mean,
A good
Yeah,
film.
tasty.
It was good.
Actually, on the Eclipse series that they release on those lines, if y'all are familiar, they have a whole bunch. They usually have a whole bunch of classic films in one set, and they have a lot of his old Kurosawa's old stuff, the post-war Kurosawa, and I want to say the wartime films Kurosawa did. So those are fun to pick up as well because you don't see a lot of those on. Well, you don't usually find a lot of those on their own. So
no.
Right. I can't pronounce the names of the ones that are coming to mind, but I think I know what you're talking about. He did like some like just dramas and things like that. I think.
Well, I think that there was something that was unique about Kurosawa is that he was liked by a lot of people, and I have a version of that Dursa film that was done in Russia on the actual Russian cinema label in English.
Wait, it's
which
a
is kinda
Kurosawa movie though?
See, Russia has their own cinema collection series.
Oh yeah, that's not altogether surprising. Iron Curtain collection right there.
Called Rusico. That's what it's. That's the. In fact, I would call it the Criterion of the Russian film selection, because there was a musical called The Bluebird, which is a version of the Bluebird that's out there. Because if you don't know anything about the Bluebird, the story of the Bluebird, there's a silent film out there called The Bluebird, and then there's a Shirley Temple film called The Bluebird. Same story. It's just Elizabeth Taylor was in this particular copy, and Russian actors.
Yeah, I'm down for the risky version for sure.
it's sort of like 12 Angry Men versus 12, right?
Actually, 12 was a darn good movie.
It was.
It was really good, but of course, it's hard to beat 12 Angry Men. I mean, that's kind of.
So it was good.
What was the connection to Kurosawa with the Russian shit, though? I'm curious.
There was a film that he did. There was a film that he did after Kagemusha, called Dursa something, and it was specifically filmed in Russia. To think about a Japanese director going all the way to Russia.
Yeah. I think they kicked their ass in a war once
fact,
too.
He got sick and however he got sick is eventually what he died of. So that's the thing that's neat about that.
Yes, that's me.
I like how they credit him with writing Neo 2.
They should probably start crediting him with writing Star Wars.
That is true.
You know what I'm saying.
Well, they're
No, I
just
definitely-
samurai tales in space.
Really, for sure. That and Star Wars almost identically follows Hidden Fortress. I for years was skeptical of that till I saw Hidden Fortress, and I was like, oh yeah, this is totally that, except this bald dude in a loincloth or whatever is
Okay, that's what it was called. It was called Dersu Uzala.
See, I need to dig in more to like the other shit that Kurosawa's done. I very much am guilty of only seeing the samurai
movies.
movies.
The one prior to, I think that was prior to Kagemusha.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we remember we discussed Kagemusha was like a long time coming. He was was persona non grata in the Japanese cinema for 10 years. Kind of strange, but yeah.
Well, I mean, we've covered it on Inside. Covered some of them on Inside Movies Galore. We covered Doskaden now, which was a very kind of harder watch film.
We definitely need to do some of the others. Rashomon, Seven Samurai, Throne of Blood.
Hell yes.
There's some good ones here. High and Low.
I love High and Low. That's like one of my favorite Kurosawas.
And they're on. Yep. So good stuff all around.
Yeah, and to my original point, I would just say go and like look at actors in the movies, check out other shit they're in. You'll find all types of stuff. Like I just am recently getting turned on to the female Prisoner Scorpion movies because it stars the lady that's in Lady Snowblood.
Nice.
I've got some of those.
Yeah, they look so rad, dude. I can't wait to dig through them. So just explore it. Use samurai cinema as like a good excuse to just dive into the shit.
I know I need to get that Arrow Stray Cat Rock set. That looks pretty sweet.
I was looking at that.
Because that's got some of the Lady Snowblood actress that you're speaking of.
Right. And you know what? Do the same thing too with just American cinema, just any movies you watch. If you see an actor you like, go through and check out other movies. I think as much as I like movies, I'm guilty of not doing that sometimes, and I run up on it through like happenstance. Like, oh shit, it's the guy from whatever I watched the other week.
I still suggest for you, Mo, to pick up Sword of Doom.
Good one. There was a game both Jake and I would participate in. It was a while back where we would constantly compare the credits we would have of actors and director credits for films.
But it got to be too much.
Jake and I both had comprehensive lists of things like that where we would have them. I still have, I think my highest used to be Johnny Depp for a while, and then I also have pretty much all of Woody Allen's work, which is pretty impressive. So there is not all, because Rainy Day in New York is still to get a good release.
Right.
But so it's just kind of fun when you follow an actor or a director or something like that. It can be
actually, that's a little side note that I found very amusing that I think you would find amusing about Three Amigos. The dudes that play what's his name, El Guapo or whatever it is, and the one that plays Jefe, both of them had roles in picking up the pieces.
I love that. Yeah, that's probably one of my favorite. I put up a quote from it that I love that quote that he said at the end of it. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but it just it was not exactly a
not safe for work.
Not safe for work quote. Not that we've been watching our language here necessarily.
Yeah.
But here it is. I'm afraid God is sending us a message. If you can't take a choke, go fuck yourself.
Oddly appropriate right now.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
So with that being said,
I thought I had seen Mo. You had recently watched Moon of the Wolf.
Oh yeah, that's a stanky good little TV movie right there. If you get a chance, hop on YouTube and check it out. Or just check out my review, whatever you want to do.
Hey, some of those we would actually be safer checking out your review first.
Yeah, stay the hell away from what was it? I can't even remember the name of it. It was such a piece of shit.
Because you usually don't dig into films like that. So whenever I hear you actually go there, it's like, God, that must have been a bad film.
Yeah, it takes a lot to get me there. Doom Asylum, that's the one. Just don't do it.
Well, with that being said, I wanted to since you came on, I wanted to give some extra time. Are you going to be joining us for the Rock and Roll High School double feature?
Of course.
Awesome. That's going to be fun. I think we're going to have some fun with those two movies. I rewatched those, and I had
looks like my copy of Rock and Roll High School Forever will be coming tomorrow, but my Rock and Roll High School copy will probably be a week away.
Well, at least you can watch them on the YouTube links I sent out. I'll be counting up votes soon. Oh, and but I'll tell you this after, so stay on after we go off the air, Dave. So with that being said, really thank you all for those of you who did watch. I think all two of you that came to watch the live stream. And for that, for anybody else watching this later on, thank you for joining us, and thank you to Mo and Dave for joining us.
Indeed.
To me, it's just fun to have a movie discussion every once in a while, just to kind of just get on and just talk about movies.
Well, yeah, a free-for-all, free verse kind of spoken word, where there's no set measure or a set thing to do, or just randomly jumping from movie to movie discussion.
It's fun. Yeah, that's normally what we're doing in Hangouts. So anytime you guys want to do this, let me know. My family doesn't really like me that much, so normally they're not around like that.
Well, I thought about making this more of a staple on Monday nights while we're separated for the stuff going on. So if any of y'all want to join us or any other people later on, it might be fun. Just sit around, just taking turns talking about movies and video games and stuff like that we've seen and done. You missed the whole Death Stranding and Deja Vu discussion we had.
Oh man, I need to check out your review that you did too. I seen that you posted that.
It's rare for Jake will tell you it's rare for me to beat a game like that. It's a long game.
You're putting in work on there, man. I don't know. I'd say to all you guys listening too, or anybody that listens in the future, this is a good opportunity if they're going to be doing these to use these as a way to cut your teeth on these discussions. So maybe you'd be more comfortable joining us as a guest for a specific in-depth movie discussion in the future.
Well, that's the idea. As any of you viewers out there want to join us on the live stream, you can always, if I'm a friend with you on Facebook, I can always send you a message with the link. Or if you're not, write something in the comments. You can still join us. Dan was here briefly, and he joined us briefly at the beginning. He didn't want to come on air, so he just joined us briefly in the comments, which that's fine too. I read the comments and we talk about it on air. So
we talked.
Oh, there he is. Yeah, I see him down there.
Yeah, he was here at the very start. So, in any case, I thank you all for watching, and we will catch you all on the next one. Hopefully, more people. You hear this? We'll try and do it again next week.
Yeah.
I don't think I need to tell any of you guys this, but you guys out there, if you're feeling lonely, just remember the key to someone's heart is just meth and tigers, baby.
Yeah, apparently. Bye. Let's see.